Good morning. I'm Cynthia Hutchison from Automation Alley, and I want to welcome you to another episode of New Normal. Now, for the past, I don't know, maybe 3 months now, I've been talking with you about a lot of different examples of companies around the region who are doing exciting things that are helping us get back to work in what our new normal looks like today. Honestly, what the new normal is changes day to day as well. So we don't know today what new normal might look like in October or December, or even January of next year. But a lot of what I've been talking to you about has been companies with apps and technologies to help us get into the building, in and out of the building safely, contact tracing, a lot of the monitoring we need to do. Today is very different because today we have Michelle D'Souza. She's the CEO of United Business Technologies. I'm pleased to have you with us, Michelle. Welcome.
Hello, Cynthia.
And Michelle's going to talk about light. So we have not talked yet about ultraviolet light and what that can do to make our workplace safer and to give us more security about where we're going every day. So Michelle, she runs an award-winning female-owned small business that developed an innovative new approach to help fight COVID-19 using ultraviolet light. Thank you for joining us. And Michelle, can you tell me a little bit about how UV light works to kill COVID-19?
So Cynthia, UVC lights, there's different kinds of UV lights. There's UV light A, B, and C. And the C light is really a short wavelength. And what it does is at around 254 or 260 nanometers, it can kill a virus. So what it does is it destroys the microbes inside a virus and does not allow it to multiply and grow. So you could keep your team members, your employees, your workers, your manufacturing facility, your family members safe. Because when they sneeze and you every day you, instead of decontaminating a room with chemicals and Clorox and everything else that we have to use, you turn this UV Sheltron unit on, and in seconds, your entire room, all that space is decontaminated. And that's what the UVC and UV Sheltron products will do.
Well, that's really exciting. That's very different from how I understood UV. I didn't know there were A, B, and C, and that they were different kinds of products. Now, I have had the opportunity to be inside your building, walk around there a little bit, and I saw some of the products, and they do different things in different ways. I remember one thing that looked like a little miniature locker, and what surprised me about that is you were able to set to, I'm going to say sanitize or sterilize, you can correct me on that, both my cell phone and my mask in the same system. Can you describe that product to me and how it works?
Absolutely. So Cynthia, just to backtrack, UBT, we're primarily a defense contractor. So the military is our customer. And when COVID hit, it was a disaster, I guess, for everybody, just like every small business. There was no work. Our manufacturing facility came to a complete stop. And then you hear all about just track back to the beginning of COVID, and you know that there were no PPEs available, and our first responders were reusing PPEs, and I'm not as smart to develop a vaccine. So I just wanted to know, what can I contribute, to help my soldier work or to make sure that, the first responders are safe. And we went back researching, and in my previous life, I used to run an HVAC company. So I did have some kind of knowledge about what UVC can do and how it can kill, microorganisms and bacteria. And it does kill viruses. So we were, continuously researching. And I've been very blessed to have some, great team members, and whom I call family team members, because I spend more time at work than I ever do anywhere else. So to make a long story short, we wanted to, get any box or a component that the first responders could put in their PPEs, or, you could use it for multiple purposes, or our soldiers could use it to put their equipment in and things like that. And that's how we came up with these little, we have a large, I'm not sure whether you can see it, but it's right behind me. And we have a large cabinet. This cabinet will store, any amount of equipment. And then you have the small one that you saw in blue, and that one can decontaminate various cell phones and your mouse, your laptop, your pens, whatever you think that people use, your eyeglasses, your cell phones, you can decontaminate them all in. And the idea was, who can this help and keep our people safe?
Right. And I'll go back for a second because you've mentioned your soldiers numerous times. So I want to make sure everybody understands a little bit more about all that UBT does. Do you mind if you tell me a little bit about the core business?
So at UBT, our core business is, our tagline is "Your needs is our mission." So we primarily deal with the DoD, Army, Navy, Air Force, and a few civilian agencies. We manufacture electronic components. We're active in obsolescence management. If you have a product that you can't find anywhere, as long as you have the IP, we will reverse engineer it for you. And we have a top secret facility clearance that allows us to reuse data that we can help the soldier with things that they want that they probably can't get in the open market. So besides electronic manufacturing, we do a lot of cybersecurity work, as well as, with the Navy, we're assisting them in their cyclone and hurricane relief in their construction management activities.
It's exciting to see that the merger, between the commercial sector and the defense sector, and then to overlay it with this new product that really is quite innovative. Now, I was going to ask you, I bounce back and forth between the core business because I'm fascinated by this pivot. By the way, I use the word pivot about 3 times an hour. I think we all do now as we've pivoted our businesses to find a way to help people get through the difficulties of COVID-19. So my pivot back to the product specifically is, how long does it take for this disinfection process? Because it's different from anything else I've seen.
Yeah, Cynthia, it actually takes seconds. And what we've done is, because we've had this unique ability of an electronic manufacturing facility and a separate IT division, we were able to marry the two of them. And the IT division created an app. And it's a simple, beautiful app where you can just put in your room size. You can put in, what you need to decontaminate, and it'll tell you in seconds. So essentially, it takes seconds to decontaminate.
Wow.
So just think about the amount of money you save in hiring a cleaning crew and, whatever else you have to do.
And you never know exactly how that's going to work with the cleaning crew, how meticulous somebody is about certain things compared to somebody else. And we all have our favorite things to clean, and my keyboard is not one of them, but my mouse is. So we all have different things. Like, don't touch my keyboard. You can touch my mouse. It's probably a good idea not to touch my keyboard.
You're right.
Do surfaces make a difference? Like the porosity of a surface versus a hard product?
No, they make no difference. So it really doesn't matter.
Now, so is the product, and I mispronounced, it's UV Sheltron, correct?
Correct, UV Sheltron.
Like with electron at the end of it.
Yep.
Okay. So how effective is that? And if at all, I haven't talked to you about this, about airborne products.
So UVC destroys airborne viruses as well as surface viruses. So, and it's not just viruses, it's mold, and it's not just COVID-19. UVC has been in existence since the early 1908, and it was discovered that the UVC light can kill the bacteria, and it's only now resurfaced, and people have begun to see that. I believe if it wasn't for COVID-19, you probably wouldn't be using it, and we wouldn't be building them.
Well, what are the benefits of the UVC option versus any other form of killing viruses?
I'm sure all of the products that people use are good, although, from what you hear in the newspapers today, people are excessively using stuff, and, you don't know whether, they're good, bad, or ugly, but I tend to be afraid to use too much of, Clorox or whatever, you use. I guess because, we know that we can turn our machine on and just decontaminate a room. And then we have a little, what you call out there in green, it's a handheld. So if there's any surface that I need to, just like your laptop, it takes me 2 seconds. It probably takes me longer to go to my kitchen and get a spray and spray it out and then clean it and get, rather than just plug that in 2 seconds and I don't have to worry about a virus.
Interesting. So, and I was just going to ask you that it's electric. It's not battery. It's plugged in, right?
Yes, it's plugged in.
Okay. So this is a viable alternative to chemicals, because I think sometimes that I know before COVID-19, we had all started to hear about the fact that antibacterial soaps take away our immunity to bacteria, that we were overusing antibacterial. Now people use antibacterial everything, everywhere. And I feel like we're going to see a backlash once we found if not a cure, a solution, a vaccine, a way to treat COVID-19. I think we're going to have to step back and look at the environmental impact that this time period has taken on our globe. I don't think this is uniquely US. I think globally, the waste and the chemicals are probably astronomical during this time. So I like hearing about a product that isn't generating either chemicals or waste.
Right, it isn't. And, in terms of safety, there is, with the UVC light, we make sure, like, if you look at any of the products that we have built, I guess being in the military manufacturing for the military space, I was never in the military personally, but we surround ourselves. Our company, UBT, is a silver veteran company, which means in the state of Michigan, 25% of our employees are veterans. So if you look at, how we build, safety is always number one. And so what we've done in every product, you have sensors. In every product, you have switches. So with UVC, it's you want to make sure that there's no human or animals in the room when you turn it on. So we've made sure that we have a remote facility in terms of you can turn it on remotely. You can turn it on through an app on your phone. And you can get out of the room, you turn it on, and it's fine. As far as the handheld goes, it's got all kinds of sensors to make sure that you don't get any of that UVC light on you. So safety has always been the number one priority when we develop the product.
That's interesting. No matter what product you develop, when you deal with soldiers, that safety thing is a common thread. When you deal with the military, we've worked in, I've reused the word pivot, years ago with a company that pivoted from race cars into Jeeps for the field. And it was during the economic downturn for automotive. And I remember being kind of surprised. And then when I talked to the president of that company, he said, well, race cars are designed to be built. We start with the driver and we protect the driver, and then we build the car around that. And the application is exactly the same for a military vehicle. And that was the first I really thought about everything you do when your client is a soldier, a sailor, a Marine, a fighter, you start protecting him or her and build out into product development. So did that impact your development of UV shelter?
Absolutely, because I have a lot of good friends who are soldiers, and it's not just the military active duty, but it's also the civilians. And if you get to know them personally, and I'm sure you do, they sacrifice so much for you and me. And it's unbelievable. I mean, some of them are, so intelligent, so sharp, so smart. They could be in the commercial world making 10 times more than what they do today, but they do it for the love of country and for the love of us. So the least you can do is make sure that, your products are safe and that they take care of them first.
That's great. Okay, so back to the UV shield front again. Now, how many different types of products are there in this lineup, and which are used for which applications? Talk to me about the breadth of the lineup, because I had the chance to be, I'm not always, when I talk to people, and you all see me in the new normal, I don't always get to see their facility, but I had a chance to have a tour of Michelle's facility, and it was really interesting.
Thank you, Cynthia. So if I could just move the camera, and if you could tell me if you can see this. As you know, this is my very first Zoom video call and it's very impromptu, so I haven't planned what I'm saying to you. So
Yeah.
can you see this, this illuminant? So
Yes.
the tall, it's a 6 foot tall illuminant, and the name is the Illuminant 6. And then right next to it is the Illuminant 3. And what these products do is, and then you have the Elite, and then you have the Erupt, and you have the product right behind me, which is the cabinet. So each one of these products, they were built for the military. And we were surprised that people come in and say, like this big cabinet out here, I had an individual who runs a large corporation in Detroit, and he said, Michelle, I would love to keep this in my golf pro shop. And I'm like, excuse me? He says, yeah, I want to make sure my golf clubs are decontaminated and the bags are decontaminated. And I never thought about that. So he's like, can you build me one and just make it, give me some handles here? And, and I said, sure, that was not the intent. And then, you have the Elite, the box that you saw, you decontaminated your phone. It was meant to decontaminate the PPE masks and, our first responders. But, I had people coming up with different things that they could do with that box. So, of course, the basics are your pens and your paper, your glasses, your cell phones, your laptops, your mouse that you let other people share, things like that, fit in there and get decontaminated.
And then the 6 foot and the 3 foot, if I'm not mistaken, those move around a room. Is that right?
So right now, you have to move them around in a room.
Okay.
But we are developing a robotic one, and that's what we're all a bunch of nerds in our office. We don't care too much about marketing. That's why this is, like I said, this is new to me. This is my very first Zoom video call I'm ever doing. So I had to get my 17-year-old to show me how to do it. But with that said, we're busy developing a robotic illuminant, which is called Bob, and we're going to make sure that it moves around by itself.
Bob, like the man's name?
Yep.
Okay. So now you have to move the camera back a little bit.
Okay.
I know we have a cameraman.
I told you I was new at this.
The 17-year-old is the best. I mean, that's why we have 17-year-olds, largely that and loading the dishwasher. That's what I use them for. Okay, so I read the specs on some of these products, and I think we talked about, so the runtime, I know the runtime for actually cleaning something is very quick. If it's a whole room, like our conference rooms here, I always have to think about this through the eyes of Automation Alley. Our conference rooms that seat, theoretically, again, in non-COVID, so rest assured, we're not seeing this many people today, but a room that's designed to seat 15 with a large conference table, how is that cleanable? How would we do that, a room like that?
So a small room, which 15 is considered small in terms of the UV light that it radiates. So that would be the 3 footer right here that I showed you, that would fit just fine. And it would take, if I put that dimensions into my app, and I'm doing it right now as we speak, and it takes 1 minute. Oh.
That is a slick app. So the app, you just give the dimensions of the room, and then it tells you how long it takes. And then that product just sits in the center of that room.
The product just sits right in the center. Now, there's something about the UVC when you talk about surface decontamination. If there is a shadow, you want to make sure that the illuminant, the light that it radiates has decontaminated every shadow out there. So to do that, what we've done is we've developed a software that will continue to let this UVC, hit until every bit of that room is decontaminated. So that's another IT interface that we've interfaced with the manufacturing. And we have this little piece of paper, and I believe it's a tester. And what we do is we just, as soon as you put it on the table, it turns a color. And what I'll do is, just to show you as an example, I'm going to have my team member, Kathy, show you a light that will just decontaminate, and she'll just hook it up and show you. So that's how easy it is. I mean, just think about how much you would spend to get a cleaning crew. I mean, they would take at least 30 minutes. They need plastic. And how long would it take to do that? So as well as it's harder to find people these days, to come in and clean your offices and space, etc.
Yes, yeah, that's very hard for everybody, I think. While is Kathy still setting up?
Yeah, well, she's just gone to get something. Yeah.
Okay. So once Kathy's ready, she's moving furniture. It's always good to have hard workers. I was going to ask you, one of the things I always like to ask people about, because we have a lot of small and mid-sized businesses watching this. And what happens is we live in our own worlds where we know what things cost. But I always ask people, if you have a product, please lead with, give people some idea. We never know, like I never know when I hear something that sounds gee whiz new, like a group of nerds made it up. You could tell me it's $100,000, $1 million, or 10. I have no idea. So can you give us a price range for products, just so that it's not something we're going to hold you to. It's not like a quote, but just a ballpark, so people know whether or not they want to reach out to you, whether or not they can afford this kind of thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So all our products are listed on the UV Sheltron website. That's UV Sheltron. And as far as products go, I mean, they range from $675 to around $12,000. And what it does for you is, the state of Michigan, and I believe several other states, have all come up with these grants. If you can invest in a product to keep your team members, your employees safe, the state is willing to fund it. So we can share that with any small business or large business that wants to, buy these products. And we've actually hired a couple interns to help them navigate that website, so they can, apply for those loans. And I mean, just think about your nail salon or your hair salon. I mean, it would make them feel so comfortable. And so we've got a tagline. We've got several bars that are using it, and they proudly advertise that they're protected by UV Sheltron. So, and I wanted to just, Kathy wanted to show you this. See, she turned this unit on, and she just put that little, so that you can see it was decontaminated. And this little white turns into, what would you call it? Purple? It turns into purple.
It's done.
Fascinating. And it took seconds.
It took a second, yes. And she decontaminated your mouse. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, from afar. That's the best, when you can do it remote. Well, this is very exciting. I love learning about new products, but by the way, I love nothing more than a demo. The demo is always fun for me. I'm a demo kind of gal. So one of the things we do at our annual conference is I like demos. I like to see how things work and how they come together. Now, I know a couple other things, or at least I have a couple other ideas. So is this used in any medical setting?
So what we've done is, because we primarily built them for the military, we would not, like I said, we do need all the help we can get when it comes to marketing. So we have reached out and had demos, and we have a very strong interest with the VA hospital and our local hospitals in Michigan, but we haven't really gone out to actively spread this, yeah.
Because it just feels like it would be helpful in that setting as well.
It would.
And you're right, the hair salons and the nail salons, all the places that want to stay open, and if we had, in my opinion, if we just wore our masks and had UV shelter on, we could stay open. We would not have to worry quite so much about everything.
You bet.
I've even thought about that long-term for airlines. Is this something that an airline would benefit from?
Absolutely. The illuminant, can be, because as far as UVC lights go, they don't penetrate through glass. So if we have a little glass, even right now as it stands, if we have a little glass cover up, we can have somebody walk through it and just decontaminate the whole plane in less than 5 minutes. I mean, that's way longer than what somebody would take to clean every seat. So that's just one of the, and once we have our robotic version, it'll probably be less than that, half that time. So absolutely, it would help the airlines. I mean, look at your Uber and your Lyft. I mean, if you want to get into an Uber and a Lyft, if we just have one of our devices and, you know, the guy just puts it in his trunk before somebody leaves, he just, you know, uses the handheld, you can be free that you're protected by UV Sheltron.
Oh, and then you can put that on the front of the car like you do the Uber and the Lyft stickers that says protected by UV Sheltron.
Perfect.
You know, so people know that they can get in, because I think that's really impacted that industry the same as the subways and all mass transit. You know, in Metro Detroit, of course, we're blessed and cursed with lack of mass transit, but even buses, the things that we do have, you want protection.
You bet.
Do you have any success stories that about any particular company or type of company that you want to share with us? I don't know.
You mean the success stories of people using our products?
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got several bars, you know, that, if I may say so, we're in the state of Michigan and our gyms are not open, so I can't tell on some of my customers, but I do have some customers that are using our products, you know, because they have opened up their gyms, you know, officially, unofficially, I have no idea. I don't ask, you know, as long as they're, you know, they have decontaminated and they love the product, they use it every single day. Because, you know, people want to be safe. And, you know, I believe I believe that every human being is inherently good and you don't want to do anything wrong, you know, and you want to make sure that others that come to your facility are also safe. So if you can, and there are products available, then why not use them?
Right. And particularly when a product is quite affordable and, you know, it has no real, well, I guess it's just, are there any downside risk? I didn't ask you that. Any risk to UVC?
I mean, when you say downside risk, you just can't be in a room when we're only talking about the, you know, the illuminant 6 and 3. As far as, you know, these, the Elite and the cabinet and the iRupt, you know, it's absolutely safe.
And they're closed when they're used.
Correct.
They have to be closed to turn on, right? So
well, you know, as far as the illuminant 6 and 3s, you know, like I told you earlier, safety is always a number one. So even those are safe because they've got safety sensors. You know, there are some companies that make products with 1 and 2. I think we've put 8 sensors. So we 100% love our military guys and gals. So we want to make sure that they're safe.
So they'll be using this before too long, I'm sure.
Yes.
We'll start to see this in military applications. Do you have any advice for any businesses looking into this option? You know, so I want to talk about like manufacturing setting. How does it work in a manufacturing setting? Does it eliminate some of the concerns about the surfaces of machines that are shared by different users? You know, different employees work on the same machine throughout a day. Does it do shift change?
Yeah, I mean, so when, you know, we can turn this machine on maybe 3 times a day or twice a day, you know, instead of having somebody go in and clean twice a day or, you know, 3 times a day, it would take you 2 minutes to turn the machine on, and within seconds or minutes, you know, you would be decontaminated.
And so once somebody buys any of the UV Sheltron products, there's no, you know, I'm trying to think of, there's no maintenance. The only ongoing cost is plugging it into the wall. Is that?
That is correct. And you have the tubes, but then, you know, they're about, what would I say, 9,000 hours.
Okay. So somebody else will be in charge by that time, you know. You will likely be out, whoever it is will be out of that job. So the director of operations who orders it today will have been promoted to VP of operations, and the new director will have to buy the replacement tubes.
You bet. Well, from what I've been reading, in some countries, they're even using money. They're decontaminating money, you know, cash.
Oh.
So you don't want to touch my money if I sneezed on it or, you know, what have you.
Right.
And it's safe. It's safe to use on any electronic product. So So it's a big deal. It's a big deal to be able to work in peace and not be worried about catching something from your coworker or what have you.
It's wonderful. So Michelle, I'm going to ask you, so thank you, Michelle D'Souza, for being with us. Michelle is the president of Unified Business Technologies, and she's going to tell you again one time how to get in touch with her or with the product, learn more about the product. And then I'll put that out on our website as well. So Michelle, how do people get in touch with you or learn more about the product?
So you just go to www.uvsheltron.com, and that's U as in umbrella, V as in victory, and sheltron.com.
Wonderful. Thank you again, Michelle, for being with us. Have a wonderful day. And